All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the October coaches meeting. Just a reminder as you join, please stay muted until we're done with the recording so we can get a nice, clean video for people to listen to in the future. The agenda is linked in chat. If you can go ahead and click that link so you can sign in. I'm also going to share it on my screen so you can follow along, but um, good to document your attendance so we can make sure we're seeing who's at these meetings. Not a ton of stuff tonight. The agenda looks long, but it'll all be pretty quick. Last meeting follow up. If you did miss last meeting, I would suggest you take a look at specifically the beginning of that meeting where we had some guests on for our partnerships, specifically Valhalla, Versiti, and Odyssey Esports. Take a look at what they talked about for exciting opportunities for you and your program. Other than that, there's not really follow up, so we can just jump into new business. The first agenda item is what I've called the State of IEN. Well, not quite the State of the Union address, but just a little summary of where we're at and a few points. So the good news about where we're at with IEN is we're still growing. We have over 150 member schools. For fall season, we have 550 registered teams representing over 3,000 students. So definitely continuing to grow and seeing new schools onboarded all the time. Nick and I and the rest of the board have onboarding meetings during our break weeks, so we're consistently talking with new schools who are interested in joining, which is great. Growing partnership opportunities is another thing that we've really invested time in for this year. So if you haven't had a chance to check out some of those streamed matches sponsored by LANFest and Zotac, they're really high quality. The streamers or the casters are great. The production is really good, and we're getting a larger audience for our students and for our schools. So make sure you check those out. The Versiti Blood Drives, opportunities for not only us to give back to the community in a vital way, but also for you to potentially raise some funds for your program. And then with Odyssey, those 1v1 Smash battles that culminate in a state championship at our state finals, and then even then a larger Indiana Showdown championship in May. There are some not so good or bad things that are occurring as well that we want to just highlight. There are a lot of forfeits happening at different levels of competition, and they're kind of broken down into two different areas, at least in my mind. The club forfeits are kind of head scratchers. Um, we shouldn't have any forfeits at the club level because at the club level, you're checking in right before the match starts, so you should know that you're ready to play and be good. Sometimes crazy things happen. A severe storm hits and lightning strikes your network equipment, which happened last year, or power goes out. Like at my school, we lost power 4 times over the course of 3 weeks. Sometimes weird things happen, but barring those, we shouldn't have any forfeits at the club level. The club level should be basically 100% of matches played. At the varsity level, our expectations are higher because that should be your premier program, and forfeits are particularly frustrating for varsity coaches. Right? There is even a fee associated now, so when a coach has a varsity program and finds out last minute they don't get to play because the opposing school just doesn't have kids that show up or forgot there was a match or something like that, that leaves a really bad taste in everyone's mouth. So we want to try to minimize forfeits as much as possible. Again, things happen every now and then, and we understand that. But we want to create an environment that everyone has the best experience possible, and part of that is minimizing forfeits. There's some lack of communication um, between coaches about matches and when they're starting, what's going on. Also, lack of communication from coaches to the IEN board. If there's an issue, just let us know. If if you need to drop from competition for some reason or another, yeah, that throws a wrench into some schedules and things, but it's better that you communicate that with us than we just find out because you don't play any of your matches. So communication is key. We try to communicate as frequently as possible, and we hope that you can do the same with each other and with us. Kind of on that other point, just a general lack of commitment from varsity programs. Our idea is that varsity is the premier level of competition for all of our schools. Um, if you're not ready for that commitment, that's why the club level exists. If your students aren't quite ready for that commitment, same thing. So just try to To elevate that varsity experience for the sake of all the schools participating, we want varsity esports to be looked at the same way as varsity traditional sports, that carries the same kind of weight with our schools and with the students. And there's some general frustration at some lack of professionalism. Not a huge issue, not something that we see a lot, but just a reminder while we're on the topic of we're all doing this because we think it's what's best for students. We all should treat each other as professionals, as we are, and just make sure that we're modeling for students what that looks like. The reality of the situation, I didn't want to call it the ugly, the reality, because it is where we're at. This is a quote from our football program at Snyder, actually. It's we will get as our works deserve. And I like that sentiment that IEN will only ever be what we collectively make it, right? If we want it to be a certain way, we have to agree that that's a priority and do that. So if we want a great experience for ourselves, for our players, for our other member schools, we have to choose to make that a reality. It's okay to not play varsity. I know that might be difficult for some people to hear, especially when students want to compete at that level. Sometimes players aren't ready. Sometimes you as a coach can't devote enough time to make it a reality. It's okay. That's why club level exists. Just keep that in mind for the future. And in general, all of us on the IEN board are as invested as possible into making this as good of an experience as possible, but we need your help. So in those above ways and in some others that we'll cover in a minute. So I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I just want to be intentional about creating an environment that we're all happy with in terms of participation, in terms of creating a situation that's beneficial not just for students but for us and persist into the future. Some important notes on that, just FYIs for everyone to remember. Rosters aren't locked. You can add new players. We understand sometimes high school and middle school students are flaky. They commit at the beginning of the season and then, oh no, I can never show up for a match on this day. Oops, forgot to tell you sorry. We realize those things happen. But you can add new players to your roster. You can substitute up club players if you have a club team up to varsity. You can find that kid who's always waiting for his mom to get off work and is at your school sitting on the bench anyway. Maybe he wants to come play and be a part of your program. So look for novel solutions to some of the problems that we're facing in terms of players dropping and teams folding, because there are other options since rosters are never actually locked. And then the last little note, kind of random, but I held a streaming workshop about LeagueOS overlays and streaming resources. That's posted to YouTube. If broadcasting and streaming is something you've been interested in, take a look at that. It's 30 minutes. It's kind of a lot. And if you need more help, reach out because we're all happy to help you get that started. But broadcasting and streaming is one of the most exciting things that I personally have implemented in our program because it reaches even another segment of students who don't even want to play the games that we're offering, but want to be involved in the community that you're building in your program. So if you're interested in getting that up and going, check out some of the streams from LANFest and Zotac. Check out some of our member school streams. You'll see some of the examples, but let me know if you need any help with any of those things because we're happy to help. Okay, more fun news. We're ready to announce information about IEN Finals 2025. And I left it blank for the grand reveal as I type it in. The date is not a grand reveal, I suppose. It's been on the calendar for a while. It's April 26th, 2025. Just so you're all aware, we went through, I'm debating the use of this word, but I think it is true, an exhaustive RFP process after last year's finals. We've been in contact with 20 or so different venues across the state, sending out RFPs to every possible person who would consider one, and evaluating how to make IEN Final 2025 the best possible. That included changing the date. Even looking at going into May, one of the venues was like, yeah, we can host it in June. But we placed a large value on keeping finals in April and finishing it before May because of all the things that happen in school in May. So it is April 26th. I hope that's the Saturday and I'm not misremembering. I'm not looking at a calendar. I'm pretty sure it's right. And we are going to be back at Ball State University. So, uh, truth be told, and to be completely candid, this is not the conclusion that most of the board thought we would have reached. We thought we were going to go to a new venue for IEN Final 2025. But as a result of the entire process that we've gone through, we're convinced that IEN Final 2025 is the best it can possibly be at Ball State in April of 2025. On that note, we know there are some things that people had issues with or concerns with from last year's finals. We are continually going back and revisiting that feedback form from last year and making sure that the thoughts and discussions we have are in line with that feedback. But some of the things that we have already planned as improvements are better trophies. We hear you that last year's trophies were lackluster. We have more resources available to us to make that prizing more appropriate. We're also going to do first and second place awards. We knew it felt kind of bad for the losing school, the second place school, to walk away without anything after having traveled to that event. So we're going to remedy that this year as well. We're going to have medals for all participants in addition to those prizes or awards for first and second place. We're already planning out and investing in better signage and communication for day of venue. So knowing where things are with more intentional signage and displays and also volunteers directing throughout that day. One of the sticking points last year was other events that were going on in the Student Center on Ball State's campus during our event. That will not happen this year. The whole building is ours for that day. We have all 3 floors, every room that exists, and we're planning to utilize as many as possible. The last big thing that was a big sticking point for a lot of you last year was that there weren't warm-up computers or for practices. Those will be available. We will have a schedule for all competing teams to be able to warm up and practice. It will be in the students or the Esports Center, but there will be shuttle transportation between them. So we think we have hit all the big sticking points from last year. We're also working on some of the others, though. We're looking at adjusting the schedule. Some of you communicated that the schedule last year could be tweaked in a few ways. We're evaluating those. We're looking at the possibility of multiple award ceremonies throughout the day as opposed to one at the end. There are costs and benefits, but also detriments to each of those ideas. We're evaluating what Ball State can support and what makes sense for us. And we're really focused on better spectator experiences for the people in person in the venue. We know that there were some issues in a few of the rooms last year. We're looking at remedying those and think we have a plan in place for a better overall spectator experience for everyone live at the event. That being said, if you have concerns or feedback, you're like, hey, you guys haven't thought about this and this was really bad last year. I linked the IEN comment box. This is always open, by the way. If you ever want to anonymously or not, your choice, communicate anything with the IEN board, you can do that and we'll follow up with it. It may mean that we come back and ask you more questions if you choose to leave your contact info. It may be that you just want to tell us off and you're not going to leave your name and we'll read it and not get back with you. Either one is fine. But let us know what we can do to help out and to understand what your feedback is because we want to take it and make this event as great as possible. We'll be rolling out more information here in the coming months even, but I really do think that this is going to be the best event we've ever put on, and I think it'll give even more opportunities to show the larger community in Indiana why esports is valuable, why it's important, and what our kids can really do. Moving on. Community opens. So we had our first one today with Fortnite. We realized the Battle Royale format in Fortnite is something that a lot of people were still interested in, even after we changed to the Zone War format. So the idea is to offer these community opens for Fortnite sporadically throughout the year to kind of scratch that Battle Royale itch. The thought is we'll do some of them solos, we'll do some duos, trios, squads, whatever that looks like to kind of spread the format. But I think it went pretty well today. Again, if you participated and want to leave specific feedback, you can feel free to do that. We do know that teaming is always an issue with solos when you do Battle Royale Fortnite. If you have suggestions on how to mitigate that, we're welcome to listen to them because we're kind of at a loss for how to actually enforce the no teaming idea. but happy to consider any considerations you have. Uh, Community Opens will not just be Fortnite. We sent out that survey, and there are lots of interesting and surprising games that students want to play. Who knew Rocket League 1v1s was going to be the most popular request? But apparently it is. So we'll look at holding a community open of some sort or another about once a month. Some months we might have more. Some months we might just do the one. But what that really requires is help. We as the board don't have bandwidth to run these every month. We're really going to lean on you as high school and middle school coaches, but also collegiate programs. If you notice, today Ryan from Indiana Wesleyan ran those Fortnite lobbies. We're really going to require your support in doing those. So if you have a group of students who are particularly invested in a specific game, if you yourself have particular expertise in a specific game that students were interested in, let us know how you can help. And we can help you with that process, but we'll kind of equip you to being the one that's running that community open. Again, if you want to send us a message in Discord, you want to fill out the comment box form and say, hey, I want to help with this, we'd be appreciative. But community opens are a great way to kind of dip your toes into being more involved in a defined time sort of way that's not open-ended. Kind of following with that, how can you help IEN was a question that we wanted to ask, because we have some ideas, like community opens, like being a title runner to help support a specific game on how you can help IEN. But we want to know, maybe there's something that you kind of always thought, like, hey, I could do this. No one just asked me to do it. Let us know. If you have a thought about helping with graphic design or with social media stuff and scheduling, or uh, Nick's on an infographic kick, apparently. If you like, I really love infographics and want to help us make some for different things. Uh, if you see a specific problem that you want to help us solve, anything like that, we're open to you contributing in any way that makes sense and is meaningful and positive for the community. So we'll also, if you're just like, hey, I want to help, but I have no idea what to do, let us know. And maybe we can partner you with someone else who has an idea and needs a little assistance executing it. Um, we can only do so much. I say that. I'm never going to actually believe it. I'm going to always try to do all the things, but the rest of the board are convincing me that that's not sustainable. We need to reach a point where we as a community are doing what we can to support each other. So let us know what that means for you. What ideas you have, how you can help support IEN, support each other, and again, continue to grow this movement of what we're doing in middle school and high schools to be something that's truly remarkable. So I think that's a record for the shortest time ever through content in a meeting. But to summarize, IEN's in a good spot. We're doing well. We have some issues to work on, specifically in terms of forfeits, communication, and making sure we're playing as many matches as possible. This is not a condemnation. This is a call to action to make everyone's experience just that much better. But the biggest takeaway is we're looking for feedback. We're looking for help. And just let us know what we need to do better, how you can help us be better and hold us accountable, but also how we can work together to again, make this the best environment possible for everyone involved. So on that note, thank you everyone. I'm going to end the recording and then we can chat about